and I'll do the short intro and then we can get started.
It just said it was on.
Oh, yeah. Yep. We're on now. So welcome to the meeting this evening. So as I said, Mr. Chair, I'll just run through quickly who's on the call with us this evening for staff. So I confirm we do have quorum and all committee members are present. So staff with us this evening are Paige Agnew, Commissioner Community Services, Lisa Capener-Hunt, Director Building and Enforcement, Kyle Campo will be with us, Manager Licensing and Enforcement, Lucretia Turner, Director Rec and Leisure Services, Jenna Morley, Director Legal Services and City Solicitor, Jacqueline Grimman, Manager Recreation Programs, Ian Sullivan is our host this evening, as well as myself, Julie McCarty-Jansman, Committee Clerk for ARC. And at the moment, we have 4 members of the public with us in the gallery. So Mr. Chair, I'll turn it over to you and we can start the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much and welcome to everyone. Good to see these faces. Some of them I saw last night. I call the meeting to order. And the second item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. We need an amendment to add the addendum. So if I could get a motion to add the addendum, Councillor Baum, second by Councillor McLaren. So approval of the agenda, given that there are no additions, subtractions, or elisions, or whatever else other people might have in mind. Okay, so approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor? That passes. And now we have a confirmation of minutes from Thursday, June the 24th, 2021. Do I have a mover to approve? Councillor Sanik, Councillor Bohm, the second. Any corrections? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, that passes. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Anybody going to make money off of animal control? Not seeing any hands up. Okay, none of those. No delegations that I know of. No briefings. Item 7 is business. A, animal bylaw repeal and replace. And so I'm going to ask staff if they have anything they wish to add. They've done this presentation 2 or 3 times now. So, but we usually have a short briefing. Mr. Campo.
Thank you, Councillor Hutchison, and through you. The purpose of this report is to provide the Arts, Recreation and Community Policies Committee with a summary of the proposed changes that are being considered by staff for bylaw number 2004-114, bylaw to regulate animals, also known as the animal bylaw. Again, our goal was to update the animal bylaw to better promote responsible pet ownership and incorporate best practices and clarify any ambiguities. Like we've said in previous meetings, we did have a strong public engagement piece that was throughout late 2020 and into 2021, where we did have public consultation that included a survey with over 1,200 responses, which was one of the biggest we've had. Since our last meeting on the June 24th date, staff did recommend and discuss topics such as pet limits and the need for a low-cost spay-neuter clinic to be in place before the limits were established. We talked about the creation of a permitted animal list that would create new regulations on exotic pets that would pose a safety concern to the community. We discussed pigeon keeping regulations, additional measures to protect the public from dangerous dogs, and tethering of animals in public property, along with the addition of administrative monetary penalties. Further, since those discussions and on the June 24th date, within this report, staff are further recommending that the municipal fee assistance program be temporarily expanded to include a safe surrender program, which will provide financial assistance to qualified individuals to offset the cost of safely rehoming non-permitted animals. So we're talking about animals that pose a safety to the community that are venomous, poisonous, potentially tarantulas, large boa constrictors, Komodo dragons potentially. Those are the type of animals that we're talking about prohibiting within the city. Again, staff are recommending that a budget allocation of $50,000 be funded through the working reserve fund to be utilized for the safe surrender program. So with this program, residents of Kingston who are eligible to participate in the municipal fee assistance program would have the ability to apply for a voucher of up to $2,000 to assist with costs that are related to the extraction or removal of these non-permitted species and the associated rehoming costs. The veterinary costs would not be covered by a voucher, and any additional costs would be the responsibility of that resident or owner of the pet. A surrender agreement would be required between the prohibited species owner and the surrender agency. The role primarily with the city of Kingston is exclusive to assisting a resident in contacting an agency with respect to the safe surrender program and providing the voucher in appropriate circumstances. Further to that, again, staff are recommending that the direction or the director of building enforcement services have the authority to increase the amount of funding provided through the voucher if it's deemed necessary, and to permit residents to utilize an alternative agency as part of the safe surrender program. So that was really the bigger component from our last discussions that we really took away and worked on the exotic pet portion of this report. I do want, as my final comments, to say that I do understand a big portion of this animal bylaw, and a lot of the discussion was around pet limits and whether or not we want to instill pet limits within the city of Kingston. This report that is before the committee tonight does have a recommendation that once a low-cost spay-neuter clinic is up and running, staff will present a report to the Arts, Recreation and Community Policies Committee regarding the feasibility of amending the animal bylaw to include the institution of limits on a number of pets per household. But I think the important aspect is we've identified we need to have this low-cost spay-neuter clinic available before we put those regulations in place. So with that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions that the committee or the general public may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? I know the Councillor Rousseau.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. Thanks, Kyle, for the presentation. And I guess I'm only going first because I want to make sure we do. I think we all want to say something. So the context of my question is related to, I think it's important that we have fulsome discussion and understanding. If I think it's applicable on the spay neuter clinic. I know that I am speaking on behalf of multi-residential and affordable housing, and where a lot of excessive pets in units and residential units are causing considerable problems and impacting people's quality of life. And I want to say I appreciate Kyle and his team. We've had some pretty good conversations. It's been a little bit challenging over the last months. I think it's extended conversations, and it's good to have those. And we've worked, the understanding is, as he has said, that there'll be a 12-month review following the implementation. Can someone here, or can Kyle or explain to us how come we don't have, and how far away is a second, is it a second surgical team, Kyle? I'm not sure I understand it. And maybe Councillor Osanik as well is really well prepared to answer. I just think we need to identify and understand fully what the situation is, and is there hope for a second surgical team? That's it.
I can go first, and thank you for the question, Councillor Osanik. So we've been in communication with Kingston Humane Society on the feasibility to create a low-cost spay-neuter clinic. One of the situations I think that's presented to staff is that first, we need to see that there's room for these animals to go. So if we were to put pet limits within the city of Kingston, there needs first and foremost to be a place or a facility for these animals to be rehomed at. And currently there is not right now. So the indication, well, I should say the communication that we're having with our partners at Kingston Humane Society is to bring forth a report that's going to be in the later month of October, so the October 19th date, or at the beginning of November date for council. That is a collaboration report we are working on with Kingston Humane Society that shows the feasibility to have this in place for the start of the new year. That would make a significant addition or help or aid to individuals that cannot afford to have their pets spayed or neutered at this time. We do currently have a voucher program that council has directed us to provide funding for up to $25,000. So those vouchers currently right now are $250 a piece. They're at a first come, first served basis. So essentially, again, you would have 100 vouchers throughout the year that you would be able to give out. This would be a permanent basis where instead of providing that funding on an annual basis, we'd be able to have something permanently established. So we are, again, in communications with Kingston Humane Society. They have indicated that it would be a second surgical table. There's a few additions that are going to be further explored and presented to council on the October 19th council we're aiming for right now.
Okay. Can I ask, is there more on that, Lisa? Are you good with that, Lisa?
Go ahead, Councilor Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So through you, what I can add is that CARPO, which is that Kingston Advocates for Responsible Pet Ownership group, back in 2016, we actually did a survey with the tenants of Kingston Frontenac Housing Corporation. 35 cat owners responded, and they said that was blocking them from not spay and neutering their pets in those units was the cost. They couldn't manage the cost. So 90% of those 35 cat owners at Kingston Frontenac Housing back in 2017 said it was cost, and even 30 dog owners in those units responded. And they also said the reason was cost, that they haven't got it spayed and neutered. So that is one reason why the first step is offering the low cost, high volume spay neuter clinic. The other problem is that, like, we know that, say someone has 5 cats, right? And when we implement a pet limit, it'll be grandfathered, right? But if those cats, if we were to do it right now and those cats are not spayed and neutered, right? And they go outside, they're going to get pregnant. And then suddenly that person is going to be over the pet limit, right? Because say we impose like 5 cats and they have 5 cats, but one of those cats has kittens, they're going to be over the pet limit. And so what are they going to do with those cats? They're going to dump them. They're going to take them out to the country, throw them next to a horse barn, thinking that, oh, you know, those people will look after my cat, or they'll just like dump them randomly, like behind a grocery store. And then those cats, those kittens are going to grow up to be cats. You know that they can have 3 litters in 1 year, and those cats won't be spayed and neutered, right? Because they were just born as kittens. They're going to be dumped. They're going to grow up. They're going to have kittens, and so on and so on and so on. The first thing we have to do is be able to give people an affordable means to have their pets spayed and neutered. Then we can impose pet limits at that time. So as Kyle said, the Kingston Humane Society will be bringing a report in Q4, and it looks like it's going to be the October timeframe or beginning of November, of finally taking the step of going towards a spay neuter clinic. And so, yeah, when we did meet with the Kingston Humane Society back in the winter time, Councillor Osterhoff, right, so they were talking about having a second surgical suite. And so what they need to get that done, because they do have permission, is money. And so that's where the city, instead of having the $25,000 each year going towards the low income family vouchers, that 25,000 can help offset the 70,000. And we have to keep in mind that only 3% of all the cats that actually get intaked at the Kingston Humane Society are actually spayed and neutered. And we spend $300,000 a year on our pound contract with the Kingston Humane Society. So the quicker we can get all the cats possible spayed and neutered in Kingston, the less cats will be on the street. We have the letters in our package from Mark Buckhart, also from Wendy Adlam, and we got in our addeds tonight, we got a letter from Kendra Hopel Easton, and they talk about what the stray cat situation is really like, because they're out there on the ground feeding these feral cat colonies. And so it all starts with having affordable spay neutering possible. Thank you.
Councillor Stroff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's been helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to both Kyle Compo and Councillor Sanik. Councillor Sanik gave a very comprehensive reply there. It's always useful to repeat it so we can see the linkages in this. So any other questions from the committee regarding this, the animal control bylaw? Not seeing any. I've got a couple of questions, but I'll wait. We'll go to the public. I'm sure the clerk will tell me if that's not correct. So is there anybody from the public that wishes to ask a question or give a comment?
Mr. Chair, through you, we do have a few members of the public with their hands raised. There's three of them currently. So the first member of the public will be Dana Babcock.
Sure. Okay.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I am the current vice president of the Kingston Humane Society. I'm also the chair of the Animal Care Committee, which is heading up the low-cost spay neuter clinic. And I just wanted to further clarify on Councillor Senek's great explanation to Mr. Osterhoff. The money that we're asking for is actually for a surgical table and an anesthesia machine. It's not going to offset any of our staffing costs. We're anticipating that the low cost will be able to help with our staffing costs. The reason for the second set is that our vet techs and can help get our animals ready and have them on the anesthesia, which would increase the capacity for our vet to be able to increase the capacity for our surgeries. Currently, we have a wait list for our own surgeries because we are above capacity, which is why we wouldn't be able to open up the service to the community unless we have this table and second anesthesia machine.
Okay. Do you have anything else you wish to add, Ms. Babcock, or comment?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Who is next? Julia?
Mr. Chair, next is Lindsay Foster.
Okay, Ms. Foster?
Sorry, I just clicked on mute. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Perfect, thanks. I am Lindsay Foster, so I'm this year's president of the Kingston Rental Property Owners Association. I spoke to you, the committee members, back in June about the need for pet limits in the city, and I believe the messaging was clear and at that time, so I won't repeat myself tonight. I'm not going there. I still don't completely understand or agree with the correlation between pet limits and low costs spay neuter clinic, but we'll go from there. I'm here instead to stress the importance of formalizing what's contained within the staff report into the actual bylaw. At this point, there is a direction for staff to present a report to this committee regarding the feasibility of limits on the number of pets per household in Kingston. That is to be done within 1 year of the start of the operation of a low-cost spay neuter clinic in Kingston. Unfortunately, there is no start date for such a clinic contained within this report or bylaw. It's proposed that staff will provide a report to council later this year regarding a partnership with the Humane Society. Great plan, But in this report, it says this same direction was provided to council back in 2016 to pursue such a partnership. Here we are 5 years later and still nothing. And as I said back in June, this topic for a clinic has been on the table for as long as I've been in Kingston, which is well over 25 years. Could it be as simple as delaying the approval of this revised bylaw until the report on a low-cost spay-neuter clinic is completed by the end of this year? And failing that, can a new section of this revised bylaw incorporate that potential partnership similar to what's outlined in the current section 21.1 related to the trap, neuter, vaccinated, and return feral cats and stray cats in the city of Kingston? So it could be something like the city may operate or may enter into a service agreement with the Kingston Humane Society or a partnership or whatever you want to call it for the operation of a high volume, low cost spay and neuter clinic. This way, the language and direction are in place and the city can finally take action to move forward on this type of clinic. Also, just a couple other comments related to this revised report. It mentions the request to share pet licensing information with rental property owners so pets are accounted for in emergency situations. We understand the inability for the city to share information due to privacy laws. Our rental association suggests that the city should at least consider collaboration on developing an information package that could be shared by landlords with tenants to promote licensing and responsible pet ownership. Further to that, and related to the item enforcement on pet limits will simply set parameters. It's not so much about enforcement, it's about setting limits to begin with for everyone to follow. So what's a reasonable number of household pets in the city of Kingston? Is it reasonable for someone to have 12 cats and 5 dogs in a 1-bedroom apartment? This is about being proactive and not reactive. And so if the city doesn't define the limits, anything can happen. And as we know, anything happens all the time. And one final point related to pigeon keeping. Staff are recommending the creation of a permit system to allow the keeping of pigeons on residential properties. Could Schedule D contain similar language as Schedule C related to hen coop permits? It says there that if the applicant for a hen coop permit is a tenant of the property, the applicant must obtain the property owner's written consent to keep hens on the property. We ask that that same language be applied to pigeon keeping permits. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I should have explained that people will speak, ask questions, and then at the end, staff will respond to all of the questions at the same time. That's the modus operandi of the city committees and council for some time now. Anyone else in the public, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Chair, the next member of public is Wendy Adlam.
Hi, thank you. A lot of my questions just got answered, and I really appreciate being able to participate in this. With Kyle, can I ask you a question? I got a little confused between Kyle and when the Humane Society Vice President spoke. I'm sorry, I forgot her name. Kyle, you talked about the vouchers, the voucher system, and that 25,000 going to the Kingston Humane Society. That's correct?
Yeah. Okay, just so I understand.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, and then my question is, will that hospital at the Humane Society be open to the public? And I think my answer got answered by the Humane Society, and they did say it was going to be open to the public. I also, just off the cuff here, I'm really impressed with the money allocated to the Safe Surrender program. Like that means there's money out there to go to responsible pet management. I'm not going to rehash my letter. I really appreciate it. I know it was a soapbox letter. I just hope the contents were really taken seriously, because, you know, like another speaker said, this has been going on forever. Our system collapses every year, and we urgently need to be permanently funded. We can't keep passing this problem to the 4 rescues listed on the website. I personally know they are struggling, and it's not fair, and it's not kind, nor it's a sustainable process. And I really believe that enough focus is being made to open this clinic for this city. I'm a multi-pet household, and it's directly linked to that. I am not politically adept at understanding the process, but I see it starting, and I'm really, because I was going to ask, what's the political process? But I see that it's starting. There's a report that we're going to wait for. I truly believe when this gets to fruition that there's going to be a lot of volunteers coming to help the Humane Society. I will be there and do whatever is needed. And once this community knows that this is what's coming, I think there's going to be a lot of people coming out, and I hope the veterinarians get on board. Other than that, we got a
Julia,
problem. We have a problem.
Julia, excuse
Okay.
me, Julia, I think that must be 5 minutes. Is it?
Okay, yep, yep.
Okay. I'm sorry. I should have warned you.
I did know the
There's a few times there I thought you were going to stop, and everything you said was fine. The questions are good, and we'll get answers for it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And through your chair.
Wait a minute.
Um,
hang on.
sorry.
Have we got anybody else? Sorry, Kyle. Madam,
Mr. Chair, there are no other members with their
Okay.
hand up currently.
Okay.
I'll maybe just give one more chance, but I don't see any other hands.
Okay. So, Mr. Compo, if you could respond to those questions and comments.
Yeah, and thank you, and through your chair. So in regards to the question posed by Wendy, yes, our voucher program is going to be redirected to the Kingston Humane Society for this initial year to start this program. Also, yes, it will be made to the public. So that I appreciate those comments, and I'm positive for the next steps as well. In regards to Ms. Foster's comments, I believe that we have a good approach, that we are working in collaboration with Kingston Humane Society to have this report to council for the next month. And I believe that is the right route to go right now, to make sure that we have everything aligned and that the implementation of this would be for the start of this year. I would love to work in collaboration on a package with the Kingston Rental Association or any other rental associations. So I do welcome those comments. In regards to the hen coop bylaw, there is a provision that you have to give notification to your resident or your neighbors if you're going to have a hen coop. I suppose that would be up to the committee to make that amendment if they would like to add that addition as well. And when we look at, I guess, hens versus pigeons in general, we're looking at the poultry aspect of a chicken compared to the racing pigeons as for a sport. Many individuals have the hen coops compared to very little that we have with pigeon racing permits at this time.
Okay. All right. We'll return to the committee. And any other comment? Now we're, I think we have to get the recommendation on the floor. And unfortunately, I think that means I got to read this. And it's interminable. So, so Madam Clerk, I presume that that's unavoidable. It has to be read by me, right? Or
Yes, Yeah, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Okay, so here we go. That the Arts, Recreation, and Community Policies Committee recommend to council that the bylaw attached as Exhibit A to report number ARCP 21009, a bylaw to repeal and replace bylaw number 2004-144, a bylaw to regulate animals, be presented to council. And that bylaw number 2020-69, a bylaw to establish a process for administrative penalties, as amended, be further amended as per Exhibit B to report number ARCP 21009, and that bylaw number 2010-205, a bylaw to define the mandate and meeting procedures for committees established by the Corporation of the City of Kingston as amended, be further amended as per Exhibit C to report number ARCP 21-009, and that bylaw number 2015-159, a bylaw to establish procedures for the Appeals Committee to conduct appeals to property standards orders in accordance with the Building Code Act and appeals to license and permit decisions in accordance with the City of Kingston licensing bylaws. As amended, be further amended as per Exhibit D, report number ARCP 21-009, and that staff be directed to, within 1 year of the start of operation of a low-cost spay neuter clinic in Kingston, present a report to our Arts, Recreation, and Community Policies Committee regarding the feasibility of amending the animal bylaw to include the institution of limits on the number of pets kept per household in Kingston. And the council approved the expansion of the municipal fee assistance program to include the safe surrender program for a period of 1 year expiring December 31, 2022. And that council approve a budget of $50,000 to be funded from the working fund reserve to be utilized by the safe surrender program. And that the draft bylaw attached as Exhibit G to report number ARCP 2109 be presented to council to amend bylaw number 2016-189, a bylaw to consolidate the delegation of powers and duties, to delegate authority to the Director of Building Enforcement Services or their designate to administer safe surrender program until December 31, 2022, upon the terms and conditions specified in report number ARCP 21009, and in accordance with the terms of the Municipal Fee Assistance Program, and to approve any documents or agreements required in connection with the Safe Surrender Program. I'm sure you're all very attentive. Yeah. So we need a mover and a seconder to put that motion on the phone. Okay, moved by Councillor Sanik, seconded by Councillor Holland. Now, any comments or questions by the committee? Councillor Sanik.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I just want to give staff a big thank you for all the work that they've done, because I think it's almost been 1 year, like I think 11 months at least, of working through this and speaking to as many stakeholders as possible, and then bringing this through different meetings and finally to the committee. So thank you very much for all of this work. To Ms. Foster's points that she raised, I do think it's an excellent idea having this tenant information package. It gives the city a chance to advertise the licensing that we have, right? The responsible pet ownership program, but also letting the tenants know what their responsibility is of having a pet in their unit. So I think we should take full advantage of that information. And also on page 9 of our report is where it details exactly what landlords can do in terms of property standards, you know, like in a unit. If if one of their properties was being damaged, then like a way to go about, trying to get the units, the tenant more responsible is through property standards. So I don't know if maybe too, even having some sort of details on those in page 9, let me just like whip over to page 9. It's at the top of page 9, making maybe the landlords more aware of that they have this avenue, like every occupant of a residential property shall maintain the property, shall maintain the floor, the wall, the ceiling, the fixtures, like, I don't know, Kyle, what your opinion is, if do we use that when it comes to a residential property now? Like, do we get called in, the city bylaw and property standards officers, do they get called in for that? And like, so there's potential that we could use that more to try to control like what tenants are possibly doing to a unit.
Thank you, and through your chair. Yes, Councillor Stanek, we do use those regulations. So we use our property standards bylaw. We do use the current animal bylaw as well. I think one of the biggest holdups is for landlords currently experiencing such a delayed experience with the landlord tenant board, that they're looking for another means that they can expedite violations, or whether it's violations or actually terminating the lease agreements with their tenants. They want to have a faster process than what the LTB would be. So when our department does get violations, whether it be inside or outside of animals, landlords are able to provide those, or we're able to provide those letters to landlords and rental property associations, which we do currently, and they use those notices in the landlord tribunal processes. So again, we are using those, but I think that they're looking for a more expedient process than the LTB at this time.
Okay. Well, also too, Ms. Foster's comments about the spay and neutering. So I haven't been heavily involved with spay neutering of cats for 25 years. Like Ms. Foster says that she's seen like our need for spay neutering clinic, but definitely I've been involved for the last 11 years. And where we are right now, especially with what Ms. Babcock was just saying, and saying that the Kingston Humane Society has committed to, this is as far as we've gotten, as close to we've gotten for a high volume, affordable spay neuter clinic in the last 11 years I've been involved. So I can make that commitment to you, Ms. Foster, that like we are doing it. We are going for it. This is like the closest that we've been. And with Miss Babcock, right? If you need more assistance, Dana, right? Like definitely come to reach out to the counselors, for any help, because I know the entire community that's our, pet advocates really want to see this happen and this take off. And as far as like the report back in 1 year, if like, okay, the report's coming, like this fall, and then we're going to be providing funding to the Kingston Humane Society for that second operating table and machine. But at the beginning, there's a learning curve for spay neutering, right? And the vet has to get efficient. So it's not like if we open this up in January, we can already be doing 30 to 40 cats per day. There's got to be a ramp up, but when, the ramp up hopefully won't take that long. And when things are really ramped up, that's when the 1 year clock will tick, because we need to see the difference. We need to see the cats in Kingston get spayed and neutered, so that if, again, like I said, if someone is about to go over the pet limit is like 5 cats, and they have 2 of their cats that aren't spayed, and they go outside and they become pregnant and have kittens, suddenly they are way over the pet limit. And they're going to be afraid that Mr. Compo is going to come knocking on their door to surrender their cats, and they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to pay the fines, and they're going to be dumping their cats on those country roads and behind a grocery store. And then the poor 4 rescue groups that are like doing this out of, like paying with their own money, many of the times for the vet bills that aren't getting funding, other than our 25,000 for feral cat voucher program that we have. Everything else over and above out of their own pockets, they're going to be overwhelmed. They're already overwhelmed. And this is just going to add to it if we encourage the dumping of pets by having some pet limits. So we got to make sure we give time for the Kingston Humane Society's low cost, high volume spay neuter clinic to get up to, ramped up to doing something really efficient, which is like 30 to 40 cats per day. Then we do the countdown and do the report back and impose the pet limits. That's the way it has to be. And then Mr. Compo, I just want to say, so yeah, I know the 25,000 we right now give to low income families. That money can go like January 1st now towards the spay neuter facility, right? But for the 25,000 we give to the feral cat rescues, we have to talk to them to see if like we're going to see in the report if everyone will be charged $130 per cat per se, just to use that number, right? If it's $130 per cat to get it spayed and neutered, and if that also includes a vaccine, whatever that includes. But if a cat, one of those cat rescues can strike a private relationship with a vet and say get it done for $80, then like why not let them do $80, right? Like we got to work that out of how that will actually work only for the feral cats, but definitely 25,000 for the low income families. Most definitely, because the Kingston Humane Society will be opening up that second operating table for all the publicly owned cats, my cat, Councillor Holland's cats, all the cats out there that need spayed and neutered in the general public. So I just wanted to say that. And then finally, through you, Mr. Chair, I have a quick amendment. It's for section 13.1. So if you zoom down into the report, it talks about what we're trying to prevent or for anyone in the public to purposely make their cat pregnant so that they can sell their kittens on Kijiji, right? Because that apparently is what's been seen, not just in Kingston, all across the province, right? People are getting, like everyone wants a pet now because we've all been cooped up, and people are like purposely making their cat pregnant and selling the kittens for $50, $100 because the demand is there. And that is crazy. It's contributing to the over cat population. So in section 13.1, we have a new clause in there that says, there we are, only a licensed breeder or the operator of a pet store may advertise a dog, cat, or rabbit for sale, which is perfectly good. But we also have to remember that those 4 feral groups, those 4 cat rescue groups, Rev, for the Forgotten Pharaohs, the Love of Pharaohs, right? Kendra's Kitties and Kingston Animal Rescue. Those are our 4 groups. And the Kingston Humane Society, of course, they have a website, they have a Facebook page, and any cat that they can then take in and rehabilitate to adopt out, they post on their website or Facebook page. So Madam Clerk, you have the wording for, we just need to add in or a pet rescue to that. So it would be only a licensed breeder or the operator of a pet store, or yeah, I think it says a rescue organization.
Mr. Chair, through you, we can display the amendment here in one moment.
Right. Do you want me to read it, Mr. Chair?
No, I can read it.
Okay.
At Exhibit A to report number ARCP-21-009 be amended in section 13.1 to add, quote, or an established animal rescue agency, including without limitation, the Kingston Humane Society, following the word store. I guess you would need you've got a secondary in Councillor Holland. And I will just say as chair, you need to tell us why you need the words without limitation.
That came from our legal department, Mr. Compo. Or no, sorry, we have our city solicitor on the line. Ms. Morley?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's because I get paid by the word over here in legal services. It's just intended to ensure that it's clear that the list is not exhaustive. So all of those entities that Councillor Osanek mentioned would also be included in the definition of an established rescue agency, not just Kingston Humane Society.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. You got your 2 words worth there. I have questions. What about the rest of the committee? A couple of questions. Committee, any other questions from the committee? Okay, I would like an explanation. 1, whether staff thinks this can work. 2, how does that impinge on the, or does it impinge on the spay and neuter activities regarding the expenditure of the $25,000 or whatever amount we come up with?
Sorry, through your chair, you're gonna have to repeat the first part. I didn't hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, we have $25,000 going to the Kingston Humane Society, basically to manage the spay and neuter clinic. And I gather in October, we may up that amount. You can correct me on that too. And so allowing the groups to do the spay and neuter aspect, how does that interface with the public and with having the program? Like, is there any hitches involved here?
Thank you, and through your chair. So with the current program that we have right now, we have $25,000 that's being afforded to low-income housing for individuals that qualify. So again, if the voucher program right now currently is only $250 per voucher. So if we have $25,000, 250 vouchers, $250 per voucher, we have 100 vouchers that we're able to give out at a first come, first served basis. With us redirecting this funding this year and potentially asking for more funding from council in the October meeting, this is going to establish a permanent low-cost spay neuter facility that would be able to continuously provide this service, and not just on the first come first serve of $100 basis or 100 maximum individuals that could qualify for this program. So I think that this program is exactly what we need to be able to look at the feasibility of pet limits. But again, I think this is a definite benefit that we're able to provide more vouchers for a lot greater of the community in general.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it would be smoothly integrated into the transfer of responsibilities for the spay neuter.
And also, just through your chair, the bylaw does not come into effect till January 1st. So with this bylaw in general, there comes a huge educational aspect that we have to do with every part of this, first and foremost.
Okay, now one thing that, this is on the amendment. I suppose it's pertinent. My impression is, will the spay and neuter program start in January or start to ramp up in January?
Through your chair, that is our understanding. But again, we're bringing that report and we're working with our partners at Kingston Humane Society currently to bring that report in October. But yes, the understanding is to have this program in place for January 1st. And I believe my colleague, Commissioner Agnew, would like to speak on that as well.
Sure.
Thank you, and through your chair. So certainly we're hearing your concern, Councillor Hutchison, and I want to be able to assure you that when we bring that report forward, we're going to be looking really carefully at what the capabilities are of the Humane Society to get up and going. And it's not our intention to shored anybody from being able to have access to vouchers this year. So we are working out the details of the business plan to determine how much money is needed by the Humane Society from a capital perspective to buy some of that equipment. We have the ability to potentially redirect some of the funds that we still have left, but it also could include a request for some additional funds for this year so that we continue to support the voucher program that's out there while the Humane Society gets up and going. So those are some of the details that we continue to work through right now, and we'll be able to bring you a lot more information when we have that standalone report specifically focused on the spay neuter high volume, low cost initiative. And we are excited to bring this forward to Councillor Osanik's point. This has been a lot of years in the making, and we're almost there. We just need a little more time.
Great, thank you, thank you. Okay, any comments from the committee on this amendment? Okay, we got a mover and a seconder, so all those in favor of the amendment? Okay, none opposed since that was unanimous. All right, now we're back to the main amendment as amended. Is there any comments or questions? Councillor Holland. Oh, and then Councillor Ustroff, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And yeah, thanks to Councillor Osanik and to staff for all the hard work on this report, and on specifically in relation to the affordable spay neuter initiative that we've spent a fair bit of time discussing, and my focus is on that as well. There has been an overpopulation problem in my district that we've been all working on, and it's the harsh reality is that there are no places for these animals to go. And the animal rescue operations are doing their very best to keep them to sort of keep the process going, finding fosters, but there's just a dire need. And so if I'm just using this opportunity to say, if anyone knows anyone and is interested in fostering an animal, please reach out to one of the animal rescue operations. I don't fully understand the dynamics of what's happening with pet ownership. I know that Councillor Osanik has alluded to the fact that some people have been quite interested in getting a pet throughout the pandemic. There are a lot of animals that actually need a fair bit of medical care and attention. And as was mentioned, those rescue operations just simply don't have the funds to do that. So I'm very happy to see this step forward to help us avoid that situation in the future. But again, in the near term, anyone you know who's interested in a pet, please, the animal rescues are the place to go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, yes, sorry, Councillor Stroh.
Yeah, thank you, and through you, Chair. The only question is kind of a general, and maybe Kyle can answer it. Is the terminology grandfathering applied in any of the rule changes, so to speak? I guess there's a variety of changes, but I don't know when it's applicable and when it's not. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And through you, your chair, the only applicable grandfathering status would be to the pigeon regulations. So there is only potentially one situation within the city of Kingston where the pigeons would be grandfathered in on a residential property. But that would be the only situation where grandfathering could be permitted within this recommendation we're presenting to the committee.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Any other councillor with comments, questions? Okay, well, anyway, I just wanted to say, for the benefit of the committee, that Ms. Foster's concerns about pet limits, and from my point of view, are well-founded. It's true that, but the property standards only works if you know that there's a problem with the property standards. And two, sometimes it's too late. And three, if damages are done, you don't necessarily get your money back. So, and because you can't pursue them, you can't find the people, okay? So that, I think, is probably animating the landlords, both not-for-profit and for-profit. And I just want to make that point. And unfortunately, professionally, I've had that responsibility, that experience myself in spades. So it is also necessary to get a pet limit, as I understand it. I don't know if staff want to comment on this, but they, in order to get enforcement, and you need to have, be able to say they shouldn't have had those pets there in the first place. It's just an added support there on the legal front. So also people, and I think we have to realize that there's going to be some perverse effects no matter how we do this. If people are going to get rid of their animals because they don't think they can make the pet limits, for instance, that's the sort of perverse effect that sometimes happens before you get straightened out. You know, get your spay and neuter clinics running and running effectively and efficiently, and get the other measures in place. I see Mr. Compo has his hand up.
Sorry, and through your chair, my hand is just raised to speak to the last point Councillor Oosterhoff had. So
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I didn't mean, I just wanted to jump in for my last point.
So I either let you respond now or I have to come back to you later. So go right ahead.
Sorry, Councillor.
I'll pick up with my comments later.
Sorry, Councillor Oosterhoff, just to back to your grandfathering point. The more I just thought of it, there is no grandfathering that's happening with this current bylaw, because the regulations with the pigeons, everybody is currently in compliance. So the grandfathering would mean that they're not in regulation right now. That's not the case. So I want to just clarify that as well. So there is no grandfathering measures that are in this bylaw. And sorry, Councillor Hutchison again.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We have to amend this as well for fast tracking purposes, which you may have seen in your email. And so I'll get to that in a minute. One thing I think is important as a suggestion here when we're talking about the property standards bylaw is, and I think there's a bit of a suggestion there from a legal point of view, is that when it comes to damages or the type of disturbances to neighbors, that we could tie it in with the peaceful enjoyment of property, which is considered to be a property. I'm not sure to say the word right would be the right word, and that could be tied in because it's indicated here that you know, as part of the property standards bylaw 5.38, 39, and 4.42, and it's tied into the good neighbor policy. So I'm thinking legally that could be tied in as a matter of community standards and expectations. It wouldn't be a law, but it would support some of the applications that would have to come into effect. So where I think in general, this is a good move forward. We're moving in the right direction. And so I support this. Now, there's an amendment which, where did she go? Madam Clerk, there you are. Could you put up the amendment, please? I've been requested by staff, and the committee's been requested by staff, not me, to make an amendment which would fast track this recommendation so that it comes up at the next next council meeting. It doesn't have to wait like 3 weeks. So there you can see it. I'll read it and then I'll be looking for a mover and a seconder. I can't do it myself because I'm the chair. That the recommendation to report number ARCP-21-009 be amended in the first paragraph by adding the words for consideration of September 21, 2021, following the word council. So that's the first paragraph. You can see it there. So would, is there a mover, Councillor McLaren, a seconder, Councillor Bone? And any comments? Anybody concerned about this fast tracking? No? Well, Councillor Ustroff, are you got a question?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess the question is, what's the hurry? Why couldn't it just go due course for October the something or other, October 5th?
The reason is that, well, I'm going to let Ms. Agnew respond to that. I think we're the appropriate person.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. I think from staff's perspective, because the council agenda is going out later this week, we were hoping for it to make that agenda as opposed to waiting, especially since we had postponed this meeting from August, which we took some additional time from June. So I think the public has been waiting for this. And that's what we were just hoping to be able to get it on the next council agenda, but certainly that's at the discretion of the committee, whether or not you feel comfortable supporting that.
Yeah, no, I'm comfortable if that's the reason. I understand we want to get things done, so there's nothing I need to know about. So thank you. I'm happy to support it. We can handle it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Russo. Councilor Russo. The okay, so we've got the movers. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment? And that passes. Thank you. And so now we have the amended main motion in front of us. Any further comments? Questions? Yes, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chair, through you, just to clarify with the committee, it will be put on the addendum as the deadline to get on the council agenda was today. But it will be put on the addendum for the council meeting on September 21st, now that we've passed the amendment.
Right, yeah, yes, the reason for that is we're meeting at night and the agenda is approved in the midday, around midday sometime, right, middle of the afternoon often. So all those in favor of the amended recommendation on animal control bylaw, please vote. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. And we'll proceed from there. So item 7B is the community gardens update. This is for information only. I believe that means that the public does not get to comment. And right, I see staff are right there. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chair, through you, we will do one call to the members of the public. They still do get a chance, even though it's information, okay. But we'll get to that.
I was thinking there might have been a change to that, so thank you for interceding. Okay, I take it that Ms. Grimmin wishes to speak to this item. And there's some good things to say, so please, go ahead.
There definitely are. Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. Myself and Director Turner are here this evening with this update regarding community gardening. The City's Rec and Leisure Department works in collaboration with Loving Spoonful and other internal departments to support community gardening on municipal properties around the city. In addition to being highlighted in the most recent update to the city's Parks and Recreation Master Plan, as a recommendation, the pandemic has really further emphasized the need and the importance of community gardens and their impact on food security in our community. Staff continue to work with Loving Spoonful and our community stakeholders to identify and remove barriers to community gardening And we've certainly recognized the need to increase funding to further support new and existing community garden initiatives in Kingston. The report that you have in front of you this evening is an information report, and it also outlines that we're working with Loving Spoonful to implement new community garden models, both at the Rideau Heights Community Center and at the future site for the Kingston East Community Center, along with other process improvements, and as noted, an increase in budget support of $25,000, which we'll be bringing forward as part of the 2022 budget process. I'm happy to receive any questions that the committee has this evening with regards to this report.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions from the committee? Any comments? See Councillor Cabone shaking his head there. He's getting a community garden, so he's happy, along with a nice recreation center, which is also good. So Councillor Sanek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any questions, but I want to thank staff for bringing these changes forward, because we all got that request from, I can't remember who it was, but someone in the community garden community who was saying that these are the problems, right? That insurance is so expensive and it's just not affordable now to to build community gardens. So thank you, staff, for paying attention to that correspondence that came from the public about community gardens, and this looks like a good way of dealing with it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else on the committee? No, I just not seeing anyone. I just want to thank staff as well, and I like to see, quite happy to see the increased and the planned increase in community gardens. I should have a talk with you sometime, because I still get requests for Kingstown, even though I know land and contamination is a problem. And I just want to say thank you for your work. And it's good to see it expanding throughout the city. And oh, do you have any, just to remind people, especially if anybody here from the public, how much food is directed from the community gardens to the food distribution agencies? It's like enormous. Like if you know off the top of your head, that would be great. But if you don't, that's fine too.
Yeah, no, certainly a great question. I'm happy to get an update and send that through to yourself and the other committee members. In terms of the most recent update, I know Loving Spoonful does a great job in tracking that, and we've even been working with the Kingston Public Market vendors who've also contributed to that donation program this year. So I'm happy to get an update on the most recent numbers of that and send that through to the committee.
Great, thank you. Okay, so, oh, I did that and I'm supposed to go to the public. Is there anyone from the public available? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Chair, I see no hands at the moment.
Right. Okay, so this is for information only. So now we go on to item 7C, report received from the Arts Advisory Committee, part 1 or I. There's working group appointments, and that reads that Arts Recreation Community Policies Committee recommend to Council that Rob Howard, Catherine McKay, and Councillor Neal be appointed to the Mayor's Arts Awards Working Group. So do I have a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Bohm, Councillor Sanek. Okay. Councillor Ustroff there. Okay. So we got a mover and a seconder. Any questions of staff, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? So that passes. Okay. Item 8, motions. We have none. 9, notice of motions, none. 10, other business, none. 11 correspondence, A, B, and C we have, all related to the animal bylaw. And 12, date of next meeting is Thursday, October 28th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Now, item 13, for some counselors, the best part. Do I have a mover for adjournment? They're all laughing, it shouldn't be. Okay, Councillor Straw, Councillor Sanic, I'm just teasing you for it. All those in favor of adjournment? Okay, that's unanimous for sure. Thank you all, it was good. Thank you to staff. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll see you another time and on. Thank you. Bye now.